In this video, I'm going to be talking about my dad's vascular dementia and my last interaction at home while trying to help. The last 2 times I visited my parents, he became convinced I was moving in and taking over the house and making all the decisions. I tried to explain to him that I flew across the world to help out my mom, thus helping him out. And he really wasn't listening. He wanted me out. He had packed my belongings and put the suitcase next to the garage. And this situation, it happened twice, and the last time was the most difficult one. He's been diagnosed with vascular dementia for about 1.5 years, and it's getting worse in terms of his behavior. Now, before I tell you what happened, you kind of need to understand who my dad is, in some case was. He's not a very quiet man by all means. If you ever met a stubborn Korean father, those of you know, he could be very hot-headed at times and very stubborn at the same time. And that really scratches the surface of it. And in fact, there's this kind of a knowledge that people's personality, whatever their base personality is, gets even worse when it comes to aging, in particular with dementia. During the last trips, he had gotten worse. He started arguing and not wanting me to help out at all. At times, though, he would act normal, was not aggressive towards myself or my mom. What's really scary and challenging at the same time about dementia is that it rarely starts with anything that's dramatic. It's not a big red sign, someone collapsing. It's usually little things that most people don't pick up unless you are living with that person 24 hours. So in my mom's case, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, there was an incident while they were at the Indian casino. He had wandered off, and he has never wandered off before. So this was very new and concerning, all that. So I flew in to get some diagnostics test. I understand that patients will develop dementia for various reasons. In the case with my dad, it would be his diabetes and his high blood pressure. So now he's become aggressive and he does repeat things. He's quite forgetful about his appointments. These are things my mom does for him. And he would ask questions that we've already answered. And in the beginning, you might tell yourself that everybody forgets things, right? You might be distracted. And the next logic is that your parents are getting older. It's part of the aging. And that's what my sisters said when I first brought this up. And as a healthcare provider, I knew there was something wrong because it's a behavior of wandering that was something new. And yes, it was frustrating in the beginning when my sisters kind of brushed it off as if forgetting things or wandering was a natural process of aging. And I wish people would understand that before we make that judgment, there are a lot of chronic conditions or processes, diagnostic tests that one should take before you assume that it's part of the natural aging process. A lot of patients I saw in the emergency room and ICU, they're older, but their mind was sharp, intact. My belief is that aging doesn't have to mean that you have this cognitive decline. And if you do, there's something that needs to be done in order to diagnose that condition, if there is such that condition. I think his mind was set that I was going to put him in a assisted living place, a nursing home, which I've advocated for my mom to do. And I remember really the struggle trying to explain to him that I'm not moving in, I'm here to help. But he wouldn't really listen because he thought his life was being taken over. And that to me is a kind of a very hard logic to digest. So at the end, I couldn't really process what he wanted me to do. Eventually, I left and I couldn't handle all the emotions that were involved in fighting with your parents, dealing with having some kind of rational conversation with somebody with dementia. It was very difficult. So this was his disease process that I wanted to get a firm handle and get the right diagnosis so we could treat it or take care of it. During that time when he had wandered, I came down, I visited him,
Dad, are you okay?
and I took him down to the hospital. His blood sugar was well over 300. But one of the things about high blood sugar is that you could have some confusion. So I understood as a nurse that 300 is very high and that needs to be taken care of. But I wasn't really prepared for those numbers because in my head, he's had diabetes for a number of years. And the last time I checked, he was supposed to be taking his medication. Let's pause the story, the emotional turmoil of relating to a parent who has dementia. Probably most of you heard of Alzheimer's, but vascular dementia really doesn't get attention as much as we need to. Vascular dementia is usually because of some cardiovascular issues and with diabetes. That's what it's been associated with. Vascular dementia, think of your brain, and your brain is going to be hungry for oxygen and glucose, the sugar. It needs blood flow constantly. It needs blood flow every second. Any interruption of the blood flow, it affects your brain. And think of your brain like this big city, and it has blood vessels that are representative of highways. Now imagine years of diabetes or hypertension, an effect that it has on the cardiovascular system without the oxygen and without the glucose. That's years of damage that just compounded. Eventually, some of the neighborhoods stop getting what they need, some parts of your brain. And that's essentially what vascular dementia is. It's right under Alzheimer's disease in terms of the number of people who have it. Some people could have both. And I do these videos because, and I relate these personal information about my parents' struggle and sometimes my own struggle with prediabetes, is that I wish people understood more about these disease processes. Dementia doesn't start when really memory problems appear. That's kind of too late. The process may have started decades earlier. Now, my dad has had diabetes for close to 3 decades. And if you're one of those people who don't take care with medication, with other lifestyle changes, that effect accumulates. Every lifestyle, healthy lifestyle matters. Your exercise matters, whether you have good sleep quality matters, your nutrition, all that is going to be beneficial to your body and ultimately to your brain. And here's something else I wish families knew. I don't want people to say that memory loss is a normal process of aging, or that behavior changes like my dad's anger is some kind of personality change, or that it's not going to happen to you or your parent. So think about the conditions, disease process your parents have or you have, because in the long run, these diseases, conditions will affect your body and your mind. Now, when I visit my parents, my dad knows who I am, but I think he forgets why I'm there. And it's very difficult to interact with him these days because one day or 1 hour or even 1 minute, we could have a sane conversation. The next minute, he thinks that I'm doing something that's going to undermine him. That's where the hard part as a daughter comes in. And it's difficult to see firsthand, and it's even more difficult to see my mom as the 24-hour caregiver really not taking care of herself either. And ultimately, I think what we need to know is that loving someone means understanding that they might not understand you anymore or the world around them. And the difficult decision comes to, what do you do? And I know it's really hard. My mom thinks that because we're saying to her that my dad really needs 24-hour professional assisted living, that she's going to ultimately end up there too. If you're caring for someone with dementia, do you have a story similar to mine? Please put that in the comments section. And what part has been the hardest for you? Because if there's one thing I've learned is that caregivers need support too. And I hope these videos, the information provided, and my personal experience with being a healthcare provider, a daughter, and trying to help my parents to live a more healthy life is a challenge when it comes to not having your parent understand fully of their decisions. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.